Okay, so I've had 7 meetings already today with a whole bunch of different groups. And what I'm noticing now is that every single one of my meetings starts off with some variant of this question. Michelle, how likely is it that we're going to be in a federal election in 3 weeks? Okay, so here's my thoughts on this. So, why is 3 weeks significant? Why is the end of September significant? So, for those of you who don't know, Justin Trudeau did something called proroguing Parliament, which basically means that he locked opposition MPs out of Parliament. In order for Parliament to come back, he has to do something called a throne speech. Midas, shh. A throne speech is essentially it's setting the government's agenda so that they can restart Parliament after that. And he said that he's going to do this on September the 23rd. So here's everything that I'm hearing behind the scenes in Ottawa on why we could have a federal election at that time. So I actually have 8 reasons for you. And the first four are people. And the first one is Erin O'Toole. So the Conservative Party now has a new leader, Erin O'Toole. He's had a good first week. He has a seat in the House of Commons. And he's going to bring stability and a new vision to the Conservative Party of Canada. He's going to be on in the House of Commons the minute that he has an opportunity to. So if you were Justin Trudeau and you were a sneaky liberal, would you let Erin O'Toole get his legs under him and start like just murdering you in the House of Commons? No, because Justin Trudeau's lazy and he doesn't want Erin O'Toole, who has a much better resume than him, who has served in Canadian Armed Forces, who has been a cabinet minister, to hold him to account in the House of Commons. That's not something Justin Trudeau wants to have happen. So the first reason why I think we're going to have an election this fall is that Justin Trudeau does not want to square off against Erin O'Toole in a 3 week period of time. The second reason and person that I think we might have an election in the next few weeks is Donald Trump. So Justin Trudeau has always run against Donald Trump. For the last several years, he has been running against Donald Trump. Let's be honest. I mean, the Canadian media is saturated with American politics. And if the American election happens and there is a change in government, who is Justin Trudeau going to blame all of Canada's problems on at that point in time, right? So Justin Trudeau is probably looking at the American election and going, if Joe Biden becomes president, I'm going to have a harder time with the Canadian public ignoring all of my problems in Canada, right? The third person, and of course the reason why the timing for the fall in that context would work is the American election is done in the middle of November, right? And if we have a 6 week election period here in Canada, that timing overlaps almost exactly. The third person and reason why I think we're going to have an election in the fall is Bill Morneau. Bill Morneau was not treated very well out the door, according to a lot of people. There's a lot of gossip I hear that Bill Morneau is pretty pissed at Justin Trudeau, and so is his staff and his team. And Bill Morneau is not someone to be trifled with in liberal circles. I mean, he's married into the McCain family. His family has a very successful business. He's an influencer in liberal circles. And if you notice, last week there were all of these leaks. Who could have possibly put out these leaks about one of I think it was the chief of staff to Trudeau, her husband or something, with lobbying. Like there was these leaks that were reported. And it really a lot of media were even speculating on Twitter that these leaks could have only come out of Bill Morneau's staff. So it was kind of like axe to grind. So how long is Justin Trudeau going to let Team Morneau do things like that to him before an election? I think that in that scenario, given that Bill Morneau is kind of pissed, that it's probably better off for Trudeau to go into a fall election. The fourth reason and person that I think we're going to have a fall election is CHRYSTIA Freeland. CHRYSTIA Freeland, I mean, like what hasn't she been minister of, right? It seems like CHRYSTIA Freeland is in this scenario for Justin Trudeau, as many of the women in his party are, which is she's in a position where if she does something awesome, he gets all the credit for it. And if he does something bad, she gets all the blame, right? But she has built a lot of rapport within liberal circles, and she's hungry. I mean, if I was CHRYSTIA Freeland, I'd be looking at Trudeau and going like, right? And I've heard from a lot of people that are sort of rank and file in the Liberal Party that they would look forward to a CHRYSTIA Freeland leadership and have Trudeau out the door. So the question becomes, how long does Justin Trudeau, now that she's finance minister, how long does Justin Trudeau let CHRYSTIA Freeland get the spotlight of the finance ministry, given the fact that she's already looking for this? So that's another reason why I don't think he's going to want her in the House of Commons forever, because like if she actually cleans up the mess to any level, like the bar's super low, it's at this point in time, it's not going to reflect on him. It's going to reflect on her. And it's only going to bolster her bid for the leadership of the Liberal Party. The fifth reason is the we documents. So Justin Trudeau's out spinning that, he prorogued Parliament so that people can vote on a throne speech. That is complete BS. Come on. The real reason why he prorogued Parliament is that Pierre Poilievre was murdering him in Finance Committee every day. Michael Barrett, finding all of these documents, right? And we were supposed to get more documents, and the only way to prevent the Conservative Party from getting access to around the WE scandal was to prorogue Parliament, was to prevent Parliament from sitting to do this. So does Justin Trudeau really want Parliament to sit after suspending it and then proroguing it just so that Pierre Poilievre can go back to murdering him on a daily basis because of his cloud of controversy? No, he doesn't want to do that. So and is Trudeau going to want to run in an election after all those documents are going to come out? No, I don't think he would. So there's another reason for a potential fall election. Sixth reason is the economy. I have not seen any indicators or talked to anybody in Canada, any industry group that's bullish on the Canadian economy right now. And why? Because we haven't had a federal budget in a really long period of time. Justin Trudeau has been more focused on his own controversy than leading the country. And there's huge political instability. So a lot of industry groups are looking at Canada as one of the most unstable places in the world to do business. We don't have a vision for the recovery. We were not addressing any of the economic changes that have happened over the last 6 months. And I think things could get worse unless there's a change in government. But if things do get worse, and if you who are watching this have to sit through another lockdown in September because Trudeau is implementing it because he hasn't had a plan to deal with COVID, you're missing out on Christmas travel because he hasn't figured out how to deal with managing the spread of COVID. And if all of those things are happening, what's going to happen? You're going to be pretty grumpy. I mean, you guys already are pretty grumpy, regardless of political stripe, and as you should be. Things aren't going super well. So if the economy continues to crater into the new year, who's going to wear that? Rightly so, it should be Justin Trudeau. And who's going to hammer him for doing that? We are. Because we're going to have a plan. We're the Conservative Party. We're going to have a plan for recovery. I've been having a lot of exciting discussions over the last week. I know that the new leader of our party is focused there. We are going to have a very clear alternative vision for the country that I think a lot of people are going to get excited about. So is he going to let that happen? Is he going to let that scenario play out? Or is he just going to pull the pin in September? I would bet, because he's lazy, that he would want to go to an election so that you will conveniently, hopefully, forget about all of these things that have happened. The next thing is Alberta. The seventh reason is Alberta. If you've noticed, the Liberal Party has started to put out these trial balloons, right? Like these messages that are very divisive federally about the throne speech. And I think that what Trudeau is going to do is completely write off Alberta more than he already has, and hope that his complete wedging of the Western Canadian economy will cause a fight within the Conservative Party of Canada, and that we'll all be distracted and that he'll somehow win. And the time for him to do that, given that he's telegraphed all this stuff, would be in the throne speech. So that's another reason why I think he's going to go in the fall, or there's a good possibility that he will. Here's the last reason, and I think this is the most powerful reason. Justin Trudeau has no exit gig. Okay, so for any of you who thought that the UN Security Council bid was for Canada's betterment, tell me an articulated reason that Justin Trudeau put out as to why we spent all that money or why we were trying to get the UN Security Council seat. What was the real reason? Justin Trudeau, when he's done Prime Minister, was hoping to walk into some UN-funded circuit of gigs, because it was his UN Security Council seat. I know this. I talked to people in the international community, and it was very clear that like this was an exit strategy for Trudeau. It's not there anymore, right? The other thing that's not there for Trudeau in terms of exit strategy is his, celebrity, charity, former prime minister spokesperson. And why? Well, there's the We Charity scandal. That didn't work out super well. But if you talk to people internationally, even very moderate or people we would consider socialists, they look at Trudeau as a fake, right? I mean, fake feminist. Look at what he did to Jody Wilson-Raybould, Jane Philippot, like his groping allegations that haven't been dealt with. The blackface issue. I mean, look, he might have become Prime Minister of Canada, but at the end of the day, many people in the international community were kind of like, it's one thing to run a political campaign, but if you were going to brand, like, let's say, you're a soft drink company or something, are you going to put Justin Trudeau as your spokesperson? No, of course you're not, because of the blackface and all this stuff, right? So what Justin Trudeau needs is some time to shake off all of that bad press, we scandal, Aga Khan Island, India trip disaster, you name it, right? He needs to do something that the woke international community feels like that he can be cool and have a gig after politics. And if he doesn't have a mandate to do that, and the economy's cratering and all those things I just talked about were happening, that's never going to happen. And that's why I think he's going to want to go now. It's because, is it going to get better for him, right? So that's my analysis. I think that there's 8 very strong factors. How would this play out? There's a lot of people talking about that he would table the throne speech and essentially walk, or maybe even go through the motions of having a vote in the House of Commons, but then pull the pin himself, go to the Governor General and say, we're in an election, and then go to you and say, here's the platform. The throne speech is the platform. I think this is a very real possibility. I think that, our party leader, Erin O'Toole, rightly said that his focus should be on putting forward a vision for the Canadian economy so that there's some stability so we can create jobs and, you guys have more certainty in your lives. But that's not what this is about for Justin Trudeau. What this is about for Justin Trudeau is who? Justin Trudeau, right? Like he's thinking about, how do I keep my job, right? He's thinking about, how do I, stop Bill Morneau from continuing to knife me? How do I stop hungry CHRYSTIA Freeland from getting a critical mass within my caucus to have a coup? These are the things he's thinking about. He's not thinking about you. And so when you're thinking about if there's a fall election or anything he's saying, you should be thinking about it in the lens of those 8 factors. Will we have an election? I don't know, but I'll tell you what's happening right now. And this is how sausage is made in politics. I guarantee you the Liberal Party or the PMO through your tax dollars, who knows, is spending a whole bunch of money focus group testing what's in the throne speech to see if it's popular enough to be able to move the needle and or wedge us as conservatives. And they're also polling you right now. They're making phone calls to see where the Canadian public is at, to see if they would get punished for pulling an election in the middle of a pandemic, which I don't think is factoring into their thoughts at all. So look, if you're calling me for a meeting and you want to answer to this question, there's my analysis. And if you're talking to other people about this, share this video. I think we're going to be an election. And I'm just going to make a pitch to you. In order to run a strong campaign in 3 weeks, I can't believe he would do this, but hey, he's Liberal. I need your support. You can visit CPCMICHELLE.CA. If you have $5, that helps my campaign team. They're out trying to find a campaign office for us right now, and I can only do that with your support. So that's my analysis. If it comes to pass, we'll see. I mean, a day is a long time in politics. Things change. But I think those are... If I was sitting in the Liberal war room right now, I'm pretty sure Liberal staffers are going to watch this and be like, was she listening to our conversations? No, you guys, it's just you're pretty transparent by now, and the Canadian public deserves better. Share this video. Have a conversation with your family over the long weekend. Working hard for you. Have a great day.